We are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Davinsky TV. I'm your host, Dr. Davinsky, PhD in sociology. Today's main topic is on mixed race identity and whether mixed race people deserve their own category and not to be lumped into one racial category and as a consequence denied their other. Today's guest, MC Cham, a black British YouTuber from the UK whose channel focuses primarily on this topic. Based Biracial AKA Shekinah, who is a House of Delegates candidate in Maryland, running for the American First movement. So this conversation is going to be more free-flowing. I'll try to moderate to give everyone an equal chance to speak. At the end, we'll take some questions from the audience. So whilst I have the floor, I may as well go first before moving on to our guests. So I will link their social media profiles in the description of this video and also the sources for my claims. So my stance is, I don't think it's fair to box mixed race people into one category. Firstly, according to Pew Research Center 2015, 70% of mixed race, Asian, white, identify as mixed race and not just one race. 61% of mixed race black and white people who are deemed Afro-Europeans identify as mixed race. So here we have the consensus of these two mixed race identities identifying as mixed race and not just one race. So generally speaking, those who are significantly mixed look significantly mixed. Of course, there are always going to be exceptions to this rule, but on average, the sub-Saharan Niger-Congo Bantu-speaking people generally don't have long curly hair, caramel complexions, and or often colored eyes and hair. Therefore, if someone looks mixed, I will describe them as mixed until proven otherwise. The argument against this is usually the one-drop rule, which I described using an Oxford journal in my video titled Mixed Race People Aren't Black at the 1:30-minute mark, which I will post in the comment section. I clearly demonstrate that this policy had very little to do with race and far more to do with economics and the continuation of slavery. You see, towards the end of slavery, there weren't that many new black slaves coming over. Therefore, due to white masters mixing with the slaves over generation, the slaves got lighter and lighter until the point many were indistinguishable from white people. But the economic incentive was to keep the slavery going, and thus, in order to justify this, you had to deem those white passing slaves as black, who in those times were deemed as lesser than white people, and thus justified slavery. So why does it matter if we view mixed race and especially biracial people as their own category? Well, there are numerous studies, such as from Duke 2019, titled Psychophysiological Stress Responses to Bicultural and Biracial Identity Denial, which shows that mixed race people find discomfort and stress in being lumped into one category and thus denied the other. A study from 2003 published in the American Journal of Public Health titled Health and Behavioral Risk of Adolescence and Mixed Race Identity. The discussion they opine, the preponderance of evidence supports the conclusion that adolescents who identify more than one race are at a higher health and behavioral risk than compared to those who identify with one race only. This applies in a general way and is not distinctive to any particular race combinations. Therefore, it is not peculiar to any particular type of risk, but to most risks, both health and behavioral. Because risk among mixed-race adolescents is higher than race combinations, some across-the-board explanation may be inferred. The most common explanation in the literature is stress associated with identity conflict. So from the results, mixed-race adolescents show higher risk when compared to single-race adolescents on general health questions, school experience, smoking and drinking, and other risk variables. Although there have been other studies that have shown little to no difference under these metrics, the consensus seems to show that being denied your mixed-race identity causes unnecessary stress and undue consequences. With that being said, I'll pass it over to Shekinah and then MC Cham to follow up. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a pretty good rundown pretty much of what the biracial experience is like in the Western world. And I think, moreover, that the one drop rule in today's society is perpetuated a lot by monoracial Black people. And I think that is detrimental to biracial people because we have a very unique and different experience from everyone else starting out in life. And those experiences should be put into account when talking about things like politics or racial politics especially. And those kind of ideas and topics have been more prevalent lately, especially with the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement. And in my personal life, the pressure to conform to one racial identity group has always been put on by the minority group. So growing up, I was always pressured by monoracial Black people to conform to this box because of that perpetuation of the one drop rule. And there's always this idea being tossed around that, oh, well, white society is always going to see you as Black. But in my experience, it's been the complete opposite. White people generally have always been very accepting of the ideas I have and things I have to say about various things. But with Black culture, increasingly, it becomes this idea, well, you have to agree with these certain set of ideals because you present yourself in this way. So I think that for our own autonomy, it's important to have our own racial category because that is in line with what genealogy is, that's in line with what our DNA is composed of, and it just makes the most logical sense.
I agree. So we'll pass it over to MC Cham. MC, you there?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to unmute. Yeah, basically what she said, I agree with. Like, mixed race people. Oh,
You lagged out there for a moment. Are you still there? MC.
hello.
Yeah,
Hello?
you
Is everything
dropped
okay?
out there for a moment. You dropped out.
Oh, me.
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. But yeah, basically I agree with what she's saying. Like at the end of the day, mixed race people or biracial people, they're their own category, and she is right about how many Black people try to force mixed race people to identify as Black, and a lot of times they will gaslight mixed race people by saying, oh, you hate your Blackness, as a way to make them feel guilty for not identifying as Black. I'm just being frank, like this is coming from a Black person, but obviously I'm just telling the truth. They will try and gaslight mixed race people by saying, oh, you hate your Blackness, oh, why don't you like Blackness? But at the end of the day, just because a mixed race person is choosing to identify as mixed race, which is what they are, that doesn't mean they hate their Blackness. Because here's the thing, let's say they do identify as Black, wouldn't by that logic, wouldn't that mean that they hate their whiteness or whatever else they're mixed with? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
So
agree with
that's
that
something,
logic.
but that's something they don't take into consideration, and it makes them come across as hypocritical. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's not much to say. Like I said, I agree with her, and yeah, at the end of the day, regarding what Black people look like, we have dark skin, dark brown eyes, broad nose and nostrils, full lips, and African textured hair. This is what Black people worldwide look like. And for people,
You cut out there for. You still here? You lagged out. MC, you here? MC.
sorry, I don't know what's going on. Like this never happened to me. Okay, give me 1 quick second. Yeah, let me try this.
Okay, you cut out just as you're giving a description of the typical Black phenotype.
It's like YouTube didn't want that. Oh man. Okay.
You know what I think is like a big confusion though, before you go on to this point, is I think that through America's influence with Hollywood and the music and all of this, even politics, right?
Oh, you're cutting out.
I'm cutting out now?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. So as I was saying, I think a lot of the problem is with so through Hollywood and through the media, through music, through politics, a lot of mixed race people, like take Obama, take Beyonce, these people that are mixed race, but look mixed race, only identify as Black. So from a global perspective, right, if you think, oh, this is ingrained in your mind now, it's like, what does a Black person look like? You think of Obama, no, that's what a mixed race person looks like. Even though Obama's typically darker than the average mixed person, he still looks more mixed than he does Black. And I think that's a big problem, is like when people think of like, just say like the prettiest actors, like prettiest Black actors or singers, they'll say people like Rihanna, Halle Berry, these kind of people that are obviously very mixed. And when you identify mixed race people as just Black, it changes your perception on what Black people actually look like.
You're absolutely correct. Yeah, and what I was gonna say, before you two, I was gonna say black people worldwide have dark skin, dark brown eyes, broad noses or nostrils, full lips, and African textured hair. This is what black people look like around the world. And you're right. Like when people, when the media in particular uses mixed race people and passes them off as black, it it skews people's perception of what black people look like. So when people think of a black person, they're going to think of someone who is racially ambiguous, aka mixed. So yeah, that's a huge problem, and that's why I made my channel. Well, I mean, that's why I upload the videos I make on my channel, trying to spread awareness about this agenda to replace the black image using mixed race people. So that's why. But it's funny because some people will say, "Oh, MC Cham's extreme." I'm like, how is trying to give black people accurate representation extreme? There's nothing extreme. The one drop rule is extreme, but I'm just trying to counter that one drop rule. Do you know what I'm saying?
The one drop rule is just based on it was just based on a fallacy though. Like if
It
you
is a
saw my
fallacy, yeah.
video, so what happened was so if you're born to a slave, you're considered a slave, right? And that's why, even if you're 1% black, if you were born to a slave, you were a slave. So if you look at the end of slavery, a lot of these slaves down south, you just think they're white people. And there was this one girl that took it to the high court to challenge her enslavement. And she had blue eyes, very fair skin, she was basically white. And the local people saw her at the courthouse and they protested because they're like, how can we enslave one of our own? So even back then, it wasn't really seen as if you have 1% black blood, then you're black. It was just a legal kind of doctrine to do more with slavery than it did race.
Right. And also this idea, I don't know. What was what was your name? The mixed race woman. What was your name?
Shekinah.
Shekinah. Is that how you pronounce it?
Shekinah.
Shekinah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Shekinah. Yeah, I was gonna say, this may or may not offend you. I'm not sure, but basically, there's this idea of light-skinned black. You've heard of that term before, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, I know many people are gonna be offended, but it is what it is. But there's no such thing as light-skinned black. A lot of people. Oh, you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think that there are definitely very specific phenotypes that are attributed to to race mixing. And when Black Americans perpetuate that a lot over here, how Black people come in all different shades and whatnot. But the reason why that is because of generational race mixing. So if you take a traditionally phenotypic example of a Black person,
Yeah,
they're going to be everything that you described. So yeah.
So a lot of these, I said in one of my videos that these so-called light-skinned black people, they're just light-skinned, multi-generational, mixed race people. That's what they are.
And it's always an exception to the rule. I mean, even if there are light-skinned black people, this is such a rare exception. It's not so you're taking the exception and you're painting this as the black average. It's look at this person. They have long curly hair. They're 100% black. They're taking such a rare outlier and then using that as the norm. I had this ex-girlfriend who was Irish and Swedish. She looked mixed race though. She had full lips. She had a kind of a broader nostril. She looked like she could be mixed race. And I'm not going to be oh yeah, Irish and Swedish people look mixed race because of her. She was just a rare exception to the rule.
Right. Exactly.
Right. But for some reason, the thing is, man, a lot of people, especially in my comment section, are always trying to play mental gymnastics and trying to make the exception. They're always trying to find these loopholes. Oh, albinism, this and all. It's why can't you just respect that black people have dark skin, dark brown eyes, broad nose, nostrils, full lips, and African textured hair? Why do you want to try and replace our image? I'm talking about people in general. It doesn't. Some black people do this. Some white people do this. Actually, rarely do white people do this. It's mainly blacks and mixed race people. Sorry.
Yeah.
But they're always trying to come up with excuses to say that light skinned people are black, but they never equate dark skin with white people. I asked them, do you believe in dark skinned white people? Is Halle Berry a dark skinned white person? But they can never answer that question.
That's a good argument. A dark skin white person.
That's good.
When have you answer this? When have you ever heard someone in your entire life say, I'm dark skinned white with two white parents?
Right.
But you always hear light-skinned people say, not all, I'm not generalizing, but I'm saying that many light-skinned people, they're always saying, I'm light-skinned black with 2 black parents. Yeah, both my parents
Yeah.
are black. But you never hear a so-called dark-skinned white person say, because it doesn't exist. It's an oxymoron. But they want to believe in light-skinned black, but they don't believe in dark-skinned white. Oh, black comes in all shades, but they don't say white comes in all shades. They never do that. It's a racist double standard.
So what would you say? What would you say would be the cutoff? Like, because I don't think like if you're 5% mixed, I wouldn't consider that a mixed person.
Yeah.
I think mixed is kind of like at least 25% or more.
I would say, okay, here's how I would how I would articulate it. So when people ask like, what is the cutoff point? Like, what is looking mixed? Looking mixed is looking racially ambiguous.
Right.
Like I separate the unambiguous versus from the ambiguous. Do you know what I'm saying? So monoracial people, especially black people, are unambiguous. So when you look at a black person, you will not question. You won't think that they fit in more than one category. You'll think this is they fit in one category. Whereas with an ambiguous person, you can't really tell what their race is. Like you look at them and you think they fit in more than one category. So now in terms of the cutoff point, like I said before, the cutoff point is dark skin, dark brown eyes, broad nose and nostrils, full lips and African texture hair. And I've actually so I'm not saying this to necessarily promote myself, I'm just saying coincidentally this is what I've done before. So I made 4 videos. It was like a series, right? So from the east of Africa, the southern Africa, Central Africa, and West Africa, of what black people look like. I've made those 4 videos from each region. I left out North Africa because obviously that place is like very mixed, very
I want to
Right.
touch on this too though, because a lot of like these black nationalists who do consider mixed race people, like Dr. Umar is one of these people, right? He's against race mixing, but at the same time he considers them all our brothers and sisters. It's such, how can he hold both positions, right? But anyway, they always bring up, oh yeah, so there are black people that look mixed race, and they'll typically go to like Ethiopians or Somalis. But the East Africans, they're Afro-Asiatic. They're not even in the same Bantu, Niger, Congo speaking population of the other sub-Saharans. And 30% of their genetic ancestry is actually from like Asia Minor, like the Middle East. This is a significantly like mixed race kind of population in Africa. I don't think it's like representative of the rest of sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. More specifically, the Horn of Africa. I know people are gonna get pissed off at that, but yeah, like if you're talking about countries like Somalia, Ethiopia, and Eritrea, yeah, they're not all of them, but a significant amount of them are mixed race. But if you're talking about like Kenya, Uganda, etc.
Yeah,
like, no, those are black countries.
Yeah,
they're black countries. But that's why I always specify the Horn of Africa, like because yes, it is in East Africa.
Yeah, because I guess Kenya is considered East Africa too, right?
Yeah. No. So like, yeah, you're right. So like, that's why
the Horn is probably a better descriptor.
Yeah, Horn of Africa. Yeah, because it's more specific. It's in East Africa, but that's the specific like mixed race region. You know, like compared to the other East African countries like Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania. Yeah. So. Just yeah, but yeah, people shouldn't be offended because like at the end of the day, why would you identify why would you identify as part of a group that you look nothing like? You know what I'm saying? It makes no sense.
Exactly.
I think the main offense though really is like it's being denied your ancestry. Like let's say that I was biracial and I was told my entire life to only identify as black. Hang on, I'll give you another hypothetical. Let's say that I married a black woman and I had a biracial child, and that child grew up only identifying as black. I'll disown that kid. I'd be like, if you're going to deny your European ancestry, I'm not going to be your father, you know? Like, I'd see that as disrespect.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, and you know what? I'm proud of you, Davinsky TV, that you would actually be like this. You'd feel disrespected by that. Like, you would actually say something about that. Because no disrespect, but you know, there are some white parents of mixed race children, particularly the white women, because you know, they love claiming their mixed race children as black, and I've had arguments with some white women about that, because it's like, do you realize the complications you're going to put your mixed race children through, like calling them black? They're going to have an identity crisis. Like, why is it that you're not calling them white? You're white, you know, the kid's half white, but you're not calling them white, but you're willing to call them, you're willing to not acknowledge your own DNA in your own children. What does that tell you?
I don't
think
know.
that's racist.
Maybe it's like, I think it's more of like a liberal kind of perception as well. It's like, let's say if you're a white liberal woman and you marry a black dude and you want to have like this progressive baby,
Right.
like I guess a black baby gives you more of like a victim kind of status than I guess a mixed race baby. Because
Right.
like I saw that, who is Sandra Bullock? I think she has a biracial son, and she said
God.
on a Twitter post not long ago that, oh, I have to teach my black son not to wear a hoodie in the street and stuff like this, like typical, like those kind of talking points.
Yeah.
And it's just weird. It's like, how do you just?
It's,
I don't get
it's
it.
weird, but it's
Yeah,
also
it like
go on. Sorry. I'm sorry.
that's all right. I was actually talking about this with a friend of mine the other day, and it's almost as if from white people, it's as if they want to like reconcile for something by by pushing their biracial children to be part of these quote unquote black issues. And then with black people, it's almost as if there's like some sort of like an insecurity within the history of black people existing in this country and biracial people existing in the country, because at the time of slavery we had a very similar experience. However, there were examples of people of racial ambiguity being able to transition into white society even back then. A good example of that is Sally Hemings and her children. And so inherently we have very different historical significance in the country just based off of our racial background. And with all of these movements created by monoracial black people talking about oppression and things of that nature, that's just inherently something that racially ambiguous people inherently can't relate to. So it's a really weird dichotomy, because it's like black people want us to adopt an experience that we just don't have, and they're simultaneously trying to like shame us into believing that we have to adopt that. So that's just it's such a weird phenomenon. It's like we're denied our own agency and us being able to articulate our worldview, because our worldview is very different because we grew up with very different experiences. So
Yep. That's a good point. A colored girl just joined from the chat, so if you want to make a point, colored girl.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Hey,
How are you?
girl.
good.
I am Cham.
Hey, you right?
So I want to give the perspective on MGMs, which is multi-generational mixed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
Elaborate a little bit for people that don't.
Okay, so multi-generational mixed is like basically the whole African American population.
Oh.
So, but I'll explain. So, again, go back to slavery. You had the pure black Africans, right? Then you have the slaves mixed with the whites. And then post-slavery, 1865, we had some mulattoes, some blacks. So the mulattoes and blacks keep mixing. Then you add the whites, and then the mulattoes and the blacks keep mixing. That's what multi-generational mixed people are.
Yeah, basically, like mixed
Right.
people, like for generations upon generations. So yeah, no, you're right. But yeah, but you just remember, like,
hang on. Would you say that all Black Americans are multi-generational mixed, or would you say certain ones with a significant ancestry?
Certain,
Yeah, right.
Not all. So that branches off. Maybe I need to switch to my computer because I can't hear you guys well. But I'll just explain. So not all are multi-generational in the United States, but like a small portion. So you have like, again, there's the admixture. So those are darker skinned. Maybe they have 5% to 10% white blood or Native American blood. Then there's us that are 25 to 30% to 40%. That's where
I'd say like mixed race identity kind of starts is around the 25% mark.
25.
Because generally around the 25% mark is where you get some phenotypical, on average, you get the phenotypical influence, you know. Anything less than that, you kind of just pass as whatever race you are. Like if you're 90% white or 90% black, you're generally just going to look like white or black.
Right.
Can I interject?
Go ahead.
Sure.
So there's this idea that I call it a fallacy that, oh, the average African American is 25% admixed, like 75% African, basically. And I strongly disagree with that. It's a fallacy.
I'm gonna drop off and get on my computer. I'll be
no
right back.
problem. That's cool. So I was saying basically, yeah. So there's this myth that the average African American is 75% African, right? That
it's a lot less than that, though, isn't it? It's about 10 to 15.
No. I'm saying 75% African. I'm saying it's a myth, and they are African Americans are a lot higher than that, way higher. It's just that mixed race people are being included into the black box on the US Census, so that skews the black statistics. So if you take out those mixed race people out of the black box on the US Census, then they black Americans should be at least in the 90s range. Do you know what I'm saying? Because no one ever says that white people are mixed race. No one ever says, oh, the average white person in America is 75% European. No one ever says that. But that's because they're not putting mixed race people into the white category. If you put mixed race people into the white category, then they're going to be like 75% or whatever. But if you take them out, if you don't include them, then they're going to be in the 90s range.
I got a question for you, MC.
Yeah, go for it.
How do you feel about the N-word? Do you say it casually? Are you against it?
Okay, here's the thing. How do I feel about it? I'll tell you. I feel like no, obviously, without saying it's insulting, but also I don't think anybody should say it at all. Period.
Do you see any distinction between the two variations with the ER and the A?
I know it exists. I know people say, "Oh, you got it." There's the ER, and there's the A, so there's a difference. I'm like, listen, the N-word is the N-word. It's called the N-word for a reason. It was used a certain way. It's like, I'm not going to use a word that was used to insult me and then try to claim it. I'm not going to. And also, go on.
I really think that was one of the biggest mistakes, is like trying to, what did they tried to say? It was like taking the power back, right? But there's a reason that white people don't go around calling ourselves like honkies, or like Mexicans don't go around calling themselves like, slurs. Yeah. Like, we don't say that because it hasn't been popularized into popular culture. Whereas now there's so much like, okay, so if someone says those words, it's a racial slur, that person's being racist. But now if someone says the N-word, there's this ambiguity. Is like, is this person racist? I don't know. There's confusion around it.
Yeah, you're right. I was going to mention one more thing. Like, I'll give you a scenario. So there was this situation. This is going to sound hella controversial, by the way, when I explain this. But so, Kendrick Lamar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, firstly, I just want to get this out the way. I'm undecided about him, like, because remember I told you about the cutoff point for what black people look like, right? But you remember there are a lot of MGMs that identify as black but aren't actually black people, more like in the Griff area. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Do you know what I mean by Griff? Like in the 75% range. Like we probably have a black parent and a mixed race parent. That's still mixed race. But anyway, so with Kendrick Lamar, I'll use him as an example. This black identifying MGM person, he invited this white woman on stage. Do you guys remember this scenario? He invited a white woman on stage, and he invited a white woman on stage to rap one of his songs or raps or whatever, and she said the N-word, which was literally in the song that he wrote or his songwriters wrote, whatever, and he basically embarrassed her on stage by saying, "Oh, you can't use that word." Here's my opinion on that. I thought that he was very stupid. He was very, very. It was uncalled for. Like, I felt sorry for her. I'm not saying this to pander. I'm just being objective. Like, that was stupid. Like, how are you gonna sell your music to a particular demographic, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just so that they can only sing parts of the song. It makes
and
no
I'm
sense.
Pretty sure if you look at the customer base for hip-hop, it's actually like majority white people in the USA is like the highest.
Exactly.
So you know that this is going to a white audience. If you didn't want us to sing along to these words, you wouldn't include them, would you? Because you know who's singing them. It's like, it's majority white people singing these. If you look at like just the demographic buying the music.
Yeah. But also, did you see the audience like in the crowd? All of them were saying the N-word as well, but he didn't try to say, you know what, stop the concert, everyone get out. Like, he didn't do that. But it was so stupid. Like, why are you going to... Don't put the N-word in the song if you don't want a certain demographic. And also, to say that a certain demographic can't say it is actually racist in of itself, in my opinion.
Exactly. Like I am under the belief that either it's all okay or none of it is okay. Like you can't police which group of people can participate in things. And then like you just can't do that because the majority of people that inhabit this country are white people. So of course they're going to be consuming your music more. And if you want to, I mean, yeah, that whole idea of like, oh, we're going to take back the power of this word. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like,
I just want to interject quickly though, because I feel like a lot of people, they say that like black people are especially sensitive about this and like it's the one word you can't say, but it's not true. Like as MC Cham would know, if you go around to a bunch of Pakistanis in the UK and say PAKI, right?
Yeah.
That's not cool. So like it's a word that they can kind of use amongst themselves. But if another person says it, it's the same with basically any racial slur. Like if you're from that group, you kind of get a bit of a pass into being a bit more, I guess, insensitive.
Yeah, it's more of an exclusive. Some certain groups treat it as exclusive, like, you know, they can say this and this group.
But the point where I think it would be racist with this talking point is like everyone else can say the N-word besides white people. So you have people like, who's that Asian rapper from New York? What's his name? Does anyone know who I'm talking about?
Mac Jung? I don't know.
Yeah, he's a Chinese rapper. He says the N-word. Then you have people like Fat Joe. He's probably like 1% black saying the N-word. And you can't be like, oh, that's cool because they're not like white. It's like, you can't just give them a pass. And then white people who say it, they're evil.
Right, exactly.
I certainly do not give non-whites or Hispanics a pass. One of my friends were talking in a discussion and she said, nigga. And I said, hold on. No. You're not going to say that. And she's like, it's not like I said N-E-R. And I said, still, don't say that in front of me. It's not okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It seems Hispanics say it the most, like, and they get the biggest pass with it.
I don't play with that. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, that's consistency. I mean, I'm glad that you check them for saying that as well. If you're going to check white people, you should check Hispanics too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Davinsky, you know what colored means in Africa, right?
Yeah, dude, I have a colored friend from South Africa. I met him in Thailand. It's they're a very diverse group of people, you know, like they have are you South African colored?
So my mother's South African colored, but my dad's American. I was born in the States and then raised in different countries around Africa. And I did live in Lesotho and visited South Africa a lot and see my cousins. So I identify with both.
Because what's funny is my buddy, who's the colored guy, he actually said there's a lot of racism towards the mixed race colored people from the blacks.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like he got beat up. Yeah, he was walking around Cape Town, which is where they're from. Like most of the Cape Coloreds, they're called. He was walking around there and a group of black dudes pulled up in a van and just beat him up for no reason and just drove off.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
The blacks and the coloreds have tension because of apartheid. They don't like each other.
That's that.
And just because they've been, I guess, isolated from each other for such a long time, the colored community really is its own ethnic group. And that's kind of what I think that it should be. I think that like multi-ethnic people should have their own kind of category. They shouldn't be lumped into like one or the other.
No.
Right.
And you know what? Here's something really important, right? I've said this before, but there's this thing going on where a lot of people, whether it be black people, white people, mixed race, just anybody, there's this perpetuation of using negative justifications to call a mixed race person black. For example, this mixed race person is black because that's how the police will see them, or that's because of slavery, we were all the same, or because of they experience racism. And here's my thing: it is racist. It is an insult. It is anti-black, to say that a mixed race person is black because of negative experiences. It's like the equivalent, like, because you're associating negativity with black people. Like you're saying this is what defines a black person. And the thing is, it's like the equivalent of me. It's like me saying, oh, MC Cham, you're a white person. Why? Because you're racist. Like that's an insult to white people because I'd be associating being racist with being white. So,
and it's also viewing these people monolithically. There's this guy that I debate a lot on Discord. His name's Umar, right? And he's like full black. He claims 2% Arab, but like if you see his face, he's very black. And
dark skin, yeah.
Yeah, we were in a chat once, and there was a bunch of black dudes in there, and he was talking about the black experience and like what it's like being pulled over by the cops, as if he can speak for all black people. And like a bunch of the black dudes in that chat said, like, I've never had any issue with the police. And he was trying to extrapolate, because basically he was trying to devoid my point on a black issue because I'm not black. And he was saying that he was like kind of had an expertise because he is black. And then what he was trying to say is like the other black dudes didn't agree with.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, he based on what you said, you know, he mentioned, oh, black experience and this. What is the quote unquote black experience? Because a lot of people, when they say that, the black experience.
That's a good question.
Do you know what I mean? I find it annoying when people say that, because it's like,
it's your experience.
It's well, I mean, go figure. Yeah, I'm black, but like when they say the black experience,
I mean, it's our experience. We can't extrapolate our own experience and be like, yeah, this is the white experience. Like, I'm not gonna say that my experience is the same as the fucking white dude walking down the street, but I see it tomorrow.
Yeah,
exactly. It's funny because a few months ago, I was invited on a forum by the NAACP here for my. They wanted to see what my platform was about or whatever. So. The Q&A section, of course, was all directed at me because I'm right-wing and I'm a person of color and all this other stuff. So, like, all these people were asking me these questions. And they were like, well, how do you feel about systemic racism? And how do you feel about, discrimination in Harford County? I was like, well, to be honest with you, the discrimination that you're describing is discrimination that I've never experienced from white people in this county. I just haven't experienced that. And they were all... County? Harford County is in northern Maryland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're not too far from each other then. Okay.
Oh, no. Cool. Small world. But so afterwards, after the forum was done, there was like this whole thread about me and the president of the NAACP was like, she refused to call herself black, and she said that her mom was white. Her mom is Puerto Rican. And I find that funny because not only are they trying to police my identity and me identifying as biracial, which I am, but they're also trying to police the whiteness of my mother.
Can I just say something real quick? So I feel like black and white people have the hardest time in terms of identifying. Like, I feel like if you're Asian and you're white, like, it's way more accepted to be Eurasian. Or even like, look at the difference between Kamala Harris versus Obama. Obama was unanimously referred to as the first black president. Kamala Harris was always the first multi-ethnic Indian black president.
I don't agree.
Ooh, about that, Davinsky. So here's the thing. So initially she was considered like the first Indian whatever, but then later on she was considered the first black, and she played along with it.
It did change, but initially, like, all the reports I saw initially were like, they described her as multi-ethnic, whereas all the first reports I saw of Obama was the first black. Just like all of the newspaper articles when the election was going on.
Maybe because you're over there, but all the time since being here, when that election was being popularized, she's the first black vice president,
senator. But I get his point. Though. I get his point.
I think that came more after. I'm talking about like when they were running, and then once she was elected. Yeah, I do see it now. And I think she plays into it more. So if you watch that recent interview with Charlemagne, she put on like a real stereotypical. She changes like what's it called? Code switches. So when she's talking about black issues, she like kind of talks in ebonics a bit, and like it's cringe.
That.
Right,
it's very. I don't like her at all, but
yeah, it's very evident that a lot of these types like just pander because it's what's popular right now. You know, like the entire especially when we're talking about political paradigms in this country. I mean, it's very obvious that leftists are seen as the party for non-white people. So, I mean, that's just what's popular. So she's going to try and say that she celebrated Kwanzaa as a kid while simultaneously doing all
and then it got debunked, didn't it? Like she never did.
I don't like that because really her father is mixed race, black and white. Her mother's Indian. But she pandered to the black community and said, "Oh, I'm black. I'm black.
I'm black and proud." I heard that one.
I'm the black and proud. oh, I smoke weed, I went to Howard University. She's fake as hell.
It's funny as hell too,
Right.
She was one of the toughest prosecutors in her day for like drug offenses. She put so many people, like mostly black people, into prison for like minor drug offenses.
Right.
The ones who try to prove their blackness the most, a lot of times they're very anti-black, which is very ironic.
Ooh.
Exactly.
Say it.
Yep, they're very anti-black. Like they say, "Oh, I'm black," but next minute they say something very anti-black, like, "Oh, I get called the N-word, so I'm black just like you." I'm like, do you realize that you're insulting my race by calling yourself that? Like saying that, oh, you're black because of this. By that logic, a white person can be called the N-word and then they're automatically considered black just because of that. My race is not supposed to be treated like some casual, subjective thing. It's a reality. Like that is what you are.
Ground. Trash.
Yeah. People treat my race like a dumping ground. It's like your race is your race, no matter how you are treated. Like experiencing racism is not what defines your race. Your race defines your race. Like whether you're black, white, whatever. You know.
Exactly.
I really think that like it's one of the biggest copes though for this is like let's say that you identify like let's say that you're like 20% like or 10% like take Elizabeth Warren or Kaepernick, like these kind of people that are mostly white, right? Like there's some power in identifying as your minority side, because like then you can go into the victim card more and you can kind of scapegoat your failures on your identity and like because of racism. Whereas like if they just because there's so many like white passing mixed race people that could identify as white, right? And if the system was really tailored in the benefit of white people, they would do that. They wouldn't cling to this ethnic minority kind of and like identity. Like what benefit is there to Elizabeth Warren identifying as Native American if white privilege is like the defining force of American politics?
Exactly. And that is actually very pervasive in a lot of the woke black community, like hoteps and everything.
Ooh,
like a lot of these hoteps, they have this whole diatribe about the dangers of snow bunnies and race mixing and all this other stuff. And but Nick Cannon, for example, he has several different children by several racially ambiguous women. So it's all of
his baby mamas are fucking like mixed as hell.
Wait. Who?
They're white. They're white or
Nick
racially ambiguous.
Oh yeah, with Mariah Carey.
Don't call them mixed. I don't. They're white.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like here you are trying to lecture the black community, trying to lecture black people about the importance of having black families, but you're not even engaging in making a family unit with anybody that you're having kids with.
Can I quickly interject?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's another plot twist. So Nick Cannon's not black either, just to let you know. Believe it or not. Like, have you seen his hair texture?
He's mixed. He's multi-generational.
Yeah, he's an MGM as well. So
I did not know he was an MGM.
Yeah, but do you know? And it's okay. It's perfectly fine because you know what it is. So many people have been so brainwashed. Not saying you in particular. I'm talking about people in general, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people have been. Remember how I said earlier about how people's perception of blackness, of what black people look like, has been skewed and it's been warped. So, like the likes of Will Smith, Nick Cannon, all these light-skinned, light brown people, like they would be considered black in the United States. So, but yeah, if you look at Nick Cannon's hair, like his hair is like mad curly, so like he wouldn't fit. It's the same with Tatiana Ali. Do you guys know Tatiana Ali?
Yes.
Yeah, Tatiana Ali from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. She's not black either. Like she's like a Dougla, a Blasian type woman. But this is just an example. There's this double standard. Yeah, I'll be quick. But there's this double standard where you got people who are just for the sake of this conversation. Let's say quadrants are, guys. You know what quadrant.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone who's predominantly white but still somewhat ambiguous. Yeah. Anyway, a lot of quadrants will be accepted as mixed race. Like, people like Meghan Markle, Rashida Jones, all these quote unquote white passing people. But when it comes to the other side of the spectrum,
yeah, that's true.
You got like Megan Thee Stallion, Megan Good, all these like Will Smith, Ice Cube. These lot are considered black, and I'm saying that's a racist double standard. It's not fair. This is what I've noticed, and it's like the same respect should be shown to the other side of the spectrum. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
That's the point I was trying to make.
I think once you get to like that kind of end though, where you're like around, I don't know, like the 20% mark, I feel like at that point you can kind of identify as the predominant race.
But I don't
usually
think
you look mostly that race.
Go on, what did you say? Colored?
What percentage would you say Nick Cannon is? I'd say it'd be like no more than 30% white.
It could be like, let's just say 25 and over, because the MGMs in the United States, again, they don't have the broad, dark skin, broad nose, big lips, African textured hair. So right giveaway is caramel skin and the curly hair, the slimmer features. You can compare us side by side. We do not look the same.
Well, sure. If Nick Cannon went to like sub-Saharan Africa, you know, like West Africa or Central Africa, he'd definitely look out of place. Like he would
definitely look out of place, especially if you watch the videos I made of what black people look like in each region of Africa, minus North Africa. He would definitely stand out, especially with his hair. Yeah, so hair is a key point. Like if you like, what's a black person without African textured hair? Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, so it's something
like
to keep in mind.
Giveaway. Yeah.
Like
it's true, because like I said, I used to live in West Africa. I would go outside, they would scream "Fute, fute, fute." It would piss me off.
And what's that mean?
Fute means white person.
I know Mzungu.
Yeah, but that's in like Southern Africa. But that's the word they use in South Africa, Mzungu.
You know what I've noticed a lot, and MC Cham probably knows this, because a lot of these Europeans, right, these biracial, especially from the UK and like Belgium and stuff, they'll go back to like Ghana, where like one of their birth parents are from, because they don't feel like they fit in with their identity in Europe. And then they'll go back and they'll get the biggest kind of cultural shock because they're not identified as black there as well. They're even called Mzungu, a lot of them. Like they complain on their YouTube channel. And these are people that are more like Afrocentric and think like, you know, black power, this is where I belong, yada, yada. And then they go back there and they're not accepted as, you know, how they've identified.
It's funny.
It's like they got a reality check.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of them, they always like wear dashiki and they put on the braids as if, again, this goes back to like proving that you're black. Like you see, an actual black person doesn't have to prove that they're black, but when a mixed race person tries to prove they're black, it's like it shows that you're not a black person, because the black person doesn't have to do that. Do you know what I'm saying? Exactly. You don't have to do that. I'm not trying to wear all these African clothes, and I'm from Britain. I just wear like non-African clothes, obviously, because I'm from England. Like, but you say I'm not going all out, you know, wearing all these things that will make me think, oh, this will prove that I'm black.
What they don't realize, what do they call like the khaki or whatever?
Yeah, it's like what they don't realize is they think that they're forgetting that they're treating my race as if it's not a race but more of a culture. I'm like, that's not a culture.
Costume.
Right.
Yeah, like some costume. Like, no, race is like physical. It's what you are. You can't separate. You know what I mean? You get the point I'm trying to make. So, yeah.
Well, you know what's funny is Bob Marley, when he was younger, because Bob Marley's a mixed race dude, he used to actually darken his hair to get rid of, like, to make it blacker. I think he used to like darken his skin as well. And he was like bullied for being mixed race in Jamaica. I've heard that a bunch of times actually with like mixed race people from the Caribbean. They'll like darken their features to present as more black.
Wow.
Or they will braid their hair.
Yeah, or even dreadlocks, because I guess once you get dreadlocks, it's hard to tell, you know, what their natural hair type is.
Right.
Well, luckily,
so if Bob Marley, if he just had his hair undreaded, I'm sure it'd look way more mixed, even though he does look pretty mixed. I mean, his phenotypes, he's got like a narrow nose, his skin's pretty light.
And the light skin is a giveaway as well.
Right.
Yeah. Even if they had African textured hair, their light skin alone is a sign of racial ambiguity. Yeah.
Can I bring up something?
Yeah, go for it.
Can we talk about how biologically non-black women cannot birth black children?
Yes, we can.
It makes me upset to my bones.
Yeah, there is this big, and a lot of these same types of the Umar Johnsons perpetuate that, like, the man carries the seeds. So if you have a black father, then you're black, but that's not.
No, like biologically, you get 50% of your DNA from each parent.
Yeah.
Right.
Then
you get a tiny bit more from your mother, actually. A tiny bit more.
I was going there. I was going that way.
Yeah, go.
The mom carries the seed. You're in your mom for 9 months. You get her milk, everything from the mom.
Right.
There's the Eve gene. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You get it from your mom. It's not from your dad.
Okay. Right.
And then thirdly, it takes a mother and father of the same race to make the same race.
Exactly.
You cannot have 1, 2 + 2 doesn't equal 5.
Yeah,
It makes
I mean, you can get a really rare exception. Like this happened a few times where like you'll have like there was one case in Nigeria, and you look at the parents, and they basically look like full-blooded black, and they had this baby with like very pale skin and blue eyes and blonde hair. But that's just like they had a tiny bit of white on each side of the family. So this was just like a genetic fluke. But
sure
you know, statistically, this is no, it wasn't. It wasn't albino. They had like maybe like 5% white on either side, and that's just a genetic fluke. They had like this white baby.
Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, you know, yeah, definitely.
But a lot of black people will take that and they'll be like, "Oh, look, we come in all colors." When this is basically like it's like having a kid with like 3 arms and be like, "Yeah, look, humans can have 3 arms." Like, okay, sure, we can, but that's like such a rare outlier.
Yeah, it's an exception and not the rule. And you know, and the thing is, like, if you're proud of being black, then just then you need to be proud.
Why
of,
do you want to claim them?
Right. Exactly. Like why? Like if everybody is black, then nobody is black. You know. So it's like this weird kind of thing where they're trying to be inclusive of everybody, trying to apply this kind of one drop rule thing to everybody, while also preaching racial pride at the same time. And it doesn't compute. Like it can't. It can't. Like it logically doesn't make any sense. Like if you're proud of being black, there are distinct black features and phenotypes and things are specific to culture of, you know, distinctly black countries. And if you want to find pride in that, then that's fine. But then that's what that is. Don't try and lump everyone else into this group that is so far removed from either experiences or, you know, cultural things or whatever. Like it just doesn't make any sense logically. And really it creates more malice in multiracial people to whatever minority group, because it's like these people are trying to assign things to me.
And as MC was saying before, because I also had the perception that mixed race people generally identified as black, but when I saw that study from where was it from again? Hang on, it was from.
You said about 61% of mixed race.
Yeah,
people.
Pew Research, right? So like 61% of mixed race, black and white combination people identify as mixed race and not just one race. And I've always been told by black people that, or like, you know, the mixed race people are black. When they're they're defining the majority. The majority of mixed race people in America are saying, hey, we're not black, we're mixed race. But a lot of the black people are like, you're black.
Gosh. I mean, question, did they even get the choice? Because most race forms in the United States, it's black, white, Pacific Islander, other. There's no category.
Yeah, and I've mentioned another study earlier, and having been boxed in and not having the option to put down your mixed race ancestry, it gives these mixed race people stresses. And this is why, if you look at like this social kind of metrics of development for especially teenagers, full race people tend to do better than mixed race people in terms of health benefits, in terms of psychological, like mental illness and stuff like this, because they don't have this identity crisis of being boxed in to, you know, and having to fit into like some kind of category.
And this is why I preach like that. I stress that it's super important that if you have mixed race children, right, make sure you identify them as mixed race. Don't give excuses to identify them as black because, oh, this is how people will see them. Like, no, this is about the child. Forget about how other people see them. It's about reality.
Right. Exactly.
Stick with the reality.
And you can't read other people's minds either, as well, you know? Like, if I see someone mixed in the street, I'm going to think they're mixed race. I'm not going to view them as black.
Yeah,
so who are they to say, like, this is how everyone sees them?
Exactly. And at the end of the day, like, our experiences are our own. Like, you can't project your bias of, like, your experiences of racism or discrimination or anything to us, because at the end of the day, we are inherently different from you guys. And that's just a fact. Like, the sky is blue, 2 + 2 is 4.
Oh, well, I really don't see how they get it confused. Like, it doesn't make sense to me at all. You have a white father, black mother. It's that simple. But they will argue to the sky is blue. They'll argue to death and back. And I have told my parents. So I'm in an interracial relationship. Yes, I'm multi-generational. right? My parents are of a different generation, and they still say, "Oh, the baby's black. The baby's black." I was like, "No, it's not. It has a white father."
Yeah.
Stop this. I was like, if you're gonna come to my house when I have a child, don't do this.
Right.
I'll kick you out.
And I respect the hell out of you for that. I respect the hell out of you for that.
Hell if they do that.
Yeah, I don't get it. I was dating a black girl once too, and her sister's like, "Oh, if you have a kid, you're gonna have a cute little black baby." And at the time, I didn't really give it much thought. But like then, it's been kind of like the past couple of years where I've started to think, mixed race people aren't black, or like just mixed race people in general aren't just one race.
And you know what? Here's something very important, right? Regarding this idea that it only takes one black parent to make black children, because the black gene is dominant, all that nonsense. I want to say that is when people need to realize, especially for the people watching, when someone has this mindset that it only takes one black parent to make black children, it's an insult not only to the black race, but especially to black women, because it's sending the message that black women are unneeded to make black children. Like, what is their purpose?
That's what I was trying to get to at the earlier point.
It's probably just for a cope for black dudes to sleep around with black black girls and be like snow buddies and get their little fetish out of the way, and then they can still be like, I'm a black power, black power with my little mixed baby.
Yeah, it's literally an excuse. Like, many black men do this. I'm not saying all, but I'm saying a noticeable amount. They love to, they will say that their baby is black even though it's mixed race. It's an excuse to justify their interracial relationship. And the thing is, if you want to be in an interracial relationship, do it, but don't be a coward. Like, call a spade a spade. You have mixed race children. Don't try and call them black so that you feel less guilty about, not being with your own women. Do you know what I'm saying?
And as colored girl said before, is you get basically 50-50 genes from either parent. If black genes really were dominant, then the baby would always take after the black parent. But this is rarely the case. Generally, they're pretty evenly split. And if you look at skin tones, especially in the West, there's a biologist. His name's Professor Khan. He's from the UK. And he wanted to see which was dominant, light skin or dark skin. And so there's 20 alleles that actually determine skin tone. It's not just one gene. And in the UK and in the West in general, lighter skin is actually dominant because over generations, there's been selection bias, and this is more prevalent. So these lighter skinned alleles actually, so on average, the skin tone's kind of intermediary. It's mixed between, but it actually goes a little bit to the lighter side. So this whole idea that black genes are stronger is just, I don't know, it's a huge talking point too.
Yeah. No, yeah, but like when people say, the black gene is dominant, therefore the mixed child is black, it's so ridiculous. Like, it clearly it's not dominant enough to make Barack Obama or someone like I don't know. Let's say. No, I'm thinking of a male mixed race person. I don't know.
Is Chris Brown
or
Chris Brown half white?
He's not half white, but he's definitely mixed race without question. It's like let's say
Drake, maybe Drake.
Drake's
Jewish.
Drake.
Let's not go into the Jewish question.
Yeah, it's like putting Bob Marley in the same. Would you put Bob Marley in the same category as me? You guys can see my picture, right?
No.
You would never put him in the same category as me because, he doesn't fit the criteria. He doesn't have the dark skin, the dark brown eyes, broad nose, nostrils, full lips, and African texture. Yeah, that's what black people look like. He doesn't fit, and it's okay. Why are people getting upset?
Yeah.
Why are people so upset? He doesn't look like a black person. Why are you gonna squeeze a person who doesn't look like that?
Maybe
that
it's
group?
because I don't know, maybe because he's super influential and it's a claim to the black race. Is he's Bob Marley's dope, so we'll claim Bob Marley as being black, and then that gives us some kind of social credits maybe.
I want to ask you something, Davinsky. You being I'm just gonna say it in this way, a white male.
Sorry, my God.
Because how some Australians say, I was just joking. I've seen the YouTube videos. But anyway, so you being a white man, right? I want to ask you something. Why do you think that many white people, right, who have mixed race children, why do you think, or whether they have mixed race children or not, why do you think many white people choose to not call their mixed race people white, but choose to call them black?
So in Australia, so Australia is super different. It's even worse than the US in this case. So Aboriginals, right? Native Australians, from where I grew up, there was about 10 to 15% of my school was Aboriginals. And these Aboriginals were probably 25%, maybe even 10%. Most of them, honestly, you would pass as a white dude if you saw them. And they would identify as Aboriginal, as black, because I think it gave them kind of some social kind of credits. They tended to get more benefits. They got away with, I guess, they could be, like when you're white, you have to be a bit more, I guess, sensitive with your words and whatnot. Whereas if you're a racial minority, you can just be a bit more open and you don't have that stigma of, I guess, being racist attached to you automatically. There's not that presumption. So I think that there's a lot of white passing people, or like even white people, that don't want to identify as white because there is some, I guess, social negative.
It's the white guilt.
Yeah, white guilt.
Right.
Yeah. So
why do the Aboriginals call themselves black?
A lot of them do, yeah. A lot of them do.
Yeah.
No.
But it is what it is.
I don't like
and
that.
Like a lot of the Aboriginals, I swear to God, they look as white as me. They'll have like blue eyes, like freckles, red hair, and they'll call them, like, they'll look you in the eye and they'll be like, "I'm black, brother." I'm like, dude.
Oh my God.
And they'll call me a white cunt. They'll stare me in the eye and call me like a white dog or a white cunt when they look like me. It's weird.
That's hella racist.
Yeah, a lot of the Aboriginals are like super racist.
You know what? As of right now, I identify as a dark-skinned white man with 2 white parents. We know that from that one. Yeah.
Right. I identify as a white woman.
There you go. Yeah, you're like a caramel white woman with 2 white parents. Yeah, white people come in all shades, from pale to dark chocolate.
Right. And to speak to the point about the dominance of genes, I mean, in some cases, and honestly, in a lot of cases, I think white genes can be more dominant than black genes because, so I had a 23andMe test taken, as you do as a multiracial person, right? Mm-hmm. So my parents took their 23andMe test, and my dad, his whole life, was socialized as a black man and all this other stuff. 23andMe test comes back. He's 60% black and like 40% white. And it's all these different kinds of, white admixtures and mostly Italian. And my mother, who is Puerto Rican, she's mostly Spaniard. So really, I'm not even an even 50% black. I think I'm only like 45%, something like that. And then the rest is white. So it goes to show that like black genes by themselves really aren't that dominant. And really, I remember Umar, he used this analogy that was like, you can't add white milk to chocolate milk and get half white milk, half chocolate milk. But really, it's more like bleaching something, right? So like when you add bleach to a pair of like dark, like black sweatpants or something, like the genes are going to turn this caramel brown first, and then you apply more bleach, eventually that's going to be white. So
but you still have to keep in mind, in history, it came from the slaves, were pure black. You keep mixing and mixing and mixing over generation, that's what we're going to end up looking like.
Right.
Oh yeah. By the way, just a quick side note regarding DNA ancestry tests, I want to point this out in case it's worth mentioning. Be conscious that a lot of these DNA ancestry tests are very inconsistent and flawed. And I'm not saying this to break people's hearts and whatever, but like I'll give you an example. I'm pretty sure this person, colored girl, is part of our group. But there's this guy called Michaels. I'm just gonna say Michaels. That's it. Yeah. He did a DNA ancestry test. Yeah, from 23andMe. He did 2, and one. He did 1 test, and mind you, this guy is a light-skinned MGM, like hella racially ambiguous. I'm talking Steph Curry, like Aisha Curry, like
Oh, Steph Curry, looking.
Yeah, like basically racially ambiguous. You could not put them in one category. And he did 2 DNA ancestry tests from 23andMe, and in his first DNA ancestry test, he got 91% African DNA. In his second DNA test, he got 92% African DNA. And you know what? He messaged me privately. He told me about those results, and he said those results are BS.
Did you say 92 and 93?
92 for the second test. So the first test, he got 91% African. The second,
I mean, they're pretty close. There is definitely like room for error, but I think like generally speaking, like they're pretty decent. Like give or take maybe like 5%, 10%.
Yeah, but the main the bigger picture here, though, I get your point, but the bigger picture here is those results are way off. Like, he is not in the 90s range at all. Because, like I said, this guy is a light-skinned, multi-generational, mixed-race person. Like, he's multiracial, like hella, like in the middle. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's mixed with this, mixed with that, but yet he's getting results that are in the 90s range for African. It's not right. Do you know what I'm saying? So there are a lot of light-skinned people that get 100% African DNA results, and it's inaccurate because these DNA ancestry tests, they use contemporary populations as markers. Do you know what I'm saying? So they don't go further back enough, like to trace someone's ancestry. So they could go back as, let's say, 500 years ago, as an example. And this is why you see like Arabs getting 100% African, for example. It's happened. And obviously, that's just an example of what I'm talking about. You can't always trust these DNA ancestry tests. Like, they're not always accurate.
Have you seen this guy's parents?
Have I seen his parents? He described. Yeah. He told me like they're both light skinned, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. But So bottom line, DNA ancestry test. Go on.
Some of them also, they give you like the region. So maybe like, I don't know, it's like, what are they called? The San people of South Africa, or maybe like a lighter skin population. Did it just say African, or did it say like West African, or?
No. Oh no, I mean.
Wait, hold on, huh? That's
it just said African.
Let me give the answer.
It's either African or sub-Saharan African, but.
No.
Oh, go on.
That's my tribe. Let me give the answer.
Okay, go on.
They're called the Khoisan and the San. We are the original natives of South Africa. Yeah. They're called the Capoid race. They're not black.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's what I'm saying is he could get 100%. He could be 100% African, but be 100% of those people, and you would not look black. No. Is my point.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Davinsky. I definitely agree with you. Like, imagine.
And as the DNA tests are getting newer, like they tend to be a lot more accurate now. Like they tend to give you a lot better like geographical like breakdown. I think when they first came out, it was like really broad. It was like just African or European, but now like they'll give you like an ethnic group.
Right. Exactly.
I see
that is fine, but like as per determining your percentage of mixture or admixture, I think they're not always correct.
Like percentage wise,
I really think like generally speaking, you can just look at someone and get like if someone looks mixed, they look mixed generally speaking.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even use percentages to determine one's race, in fact. Like, so when people ask me where the cutoff point is, I say I don't focus on percentages. I focus on I focus on physical characteristics, similar physical characteristics. And sorry if I'm repeating myself, I sound like a broken record, but black people have dark skin, dark brown eyes, broad nose and nostrils, full and African textured hair. This is what black people look like worldwide. If anyone doesn't fit that criteria, they're not a black person. So
even if someone even if there is a fluke of nature where like someone does not have those features but they are black, like that person would look mixed. They wouldn't look black. So you wouldn't call them black. Like if you saw that person in the street, even if they are 100% black, which is unlikely, you'd be like, that's a mixed person.
Yeah, of course, regardless of their flawed DNA ancestry, like percentages, you know, like they can correlate, but they're not the same thing. Like percentages versus race it's like putting sugar in. It's like putting sugar in tea. If you put a tiny snippet of sugar in tea and you have a sip of that, you're not really gonna taste the sugar in the tea because it's so insignificant. So that you're not going to notice the taste. Do you know what I'm saying? So it has to be significant. Because I say this because people are very pedantic in my comment section about, if you're 99.9% black, then you're not black. I'm like, that's not only it's petty.
You know,
that's petty.
They'd say that a lot. That really pisses me off when they'd be like, because you'll be like, mixed race, and they'll be like, everybody's mixed. I'm like, I'm talking about significant admixture. I'm not talking about fucking like 5% or something crazy.
But they do it on purpose to be petty because they don't like me saying that mixed race people are not the same as black people. They hate that, so they try to drag black people into the mixed race category. It's like, if I can't be black, then no one can. I'm taking you with me. That's what they're doing. Right. Yeah. So
I just want to touch on one point that colored girl said before. It's like about if everyone mixed together, there wouldn't be a point where we all look the same because like genes are about like frequency. So like we may have like an average phenotype, but there's still going to be people that tend to look Asian or look white or look black, even if we all mix together.
Yeah.
That's just how genes work. This is why the meme about red hair going extinct because it's a recessive gene, it's just never going to happen because the gene is just out there in too many people. There's always going to be like, you know, people having that trait.
Oh yeah, it's still going to be in the mixed gene pool, not like forever, pretty much.
Yeah,
so,
Right.
it's going to be like smaller per capita, but actually a larger number than it was before. So like there's more redheads today on just like a numbers level than there were at any point in time, but per capita it's decreasing.
And Davinsky, why do you think that many people, because like I said, it is a racist double standard, why are people always saying that, oh, black people are mixed, but never say this about white people?
The one trouble.
Well,
yeah, I do think it comes from that, and like that's why that the message that I put in that video, that I'll link in the bio, is like super important, because it really wasn't like that. Like just because that was a legal definition, no one really saw that socially. No one saw someone who had 1% black blood as fucking black. Like that's why there was riots when that woman who was white passing, who was basically white, you know, because over time the slave master would just keep raping the slave, and through generations the end result will be basically a white slave. Right? And that's why when they went to the courthouse to try and protest her freedom, trying to claim that she was a free white woman, the local people that saw her actually protested on her behalf, and like she got her freedom. So like if they really did believe, because she did have like a small percentage of black blood, if they really believe that a small percentage of black blood made you black, they wouldn't have protested.
Right. Exactly.
And here's one more thing, and then I'll stop talking. But you know, in relation to this, you know, race thing, right? So there was this situation with this woman called Dunya. Do you guys know someone called Dunya?
No.
Okay. Do you know Deji? KSI's brother?
Oh, Deji. Yeah.
Who's that?
Deji's KSI's brother. They're YouTubers, right? So long story short, right? Dunya was a woman who went out with Deji. They were boyfriend and girlfriend, and Deji and Dunya broke up. But again, it was a mutual thing. It wasn't like a fight, like, oh, I break you. No, it was just a mutual thing. But what happened recently was, and I made a reaction video to it and gave my interpretation. So she was on this thing called E-Date, and they were basically just roasting each other, you know, just banter. And this guy, who is an MGM, who identifies as black, go figure, said to Dunya, that fat ass nose gotta go too. And she said, fat ass nose. This is a white woman, by the way. Dunya is white. So, but yeah, she was like, fat ass nose. I mean, you're black. You're literally black. What are you gonna talk about, fat ass nose? And basically, everyone's trying to cancel her because they are calling her racist. And my thing is this: my interpretation was it wasn't racist. Now people can call it whatever they want, but it wasn't racist because what she was basically doing was saying pot calling the kettle black, as in how are you going to
not everything that is racial is racist. She made a racial observation. This is a black phenotype. You know?
Exactly. I'm saying that as well.
Thing. A lot of people think like anything that's racial is racist automatically.
And it's like people have no critical thing. A lot of people are emotional. They don't take a step back and try to analyze the situation and think about the context. Instead, they just hop on the bandwagon and say, "Oh, racist."
Right.
My thing is, what she said was not racist. She was just saying, "How are you, a quote unquote black person, gonna tell me that I have a big nose when you come from a group of people who are known for having big noses?" That's what the context was. But people ignore that. People won't even think about that. They're just saying, "Oh, she mentioned black. Oh, she's racist." You can't say that. And also, she made one more comment. She made a comment. Saying finally a white man, or thank God a white man. And the reason, and people took that out of context as well. What I saw was she said that because it was another way of saying, wow, because I'm not the only white person in the room. Many black people do it as well. Like, you know, a black person in the pub full of white people and a black person shows up. Oh, thank God, a black guy. It's just saying, hey, thank God I'm not the only black person. So that's what she did when she said, thank God, a white man. But people took that out of context as well. So now she's losing subscribers and, you know, like,
and that's why I think, like, back to your earlier point is why do so many like white people identify as non-white? Is that's your answer there is like, when you're white, you have to just be so hypersensitive and everything has like this, like there's like a connotation attached where you're automatically, you're guilty until proven innocent, basically, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like minorities can be way more free with their words and like they're way less likely to be called racist.
Yeah, exactly. Or being cancelled. You guys have to walk around on eggshells, and I'm just being frank.
And this is what caused a lot of racial hostility as well. It's like I've even had times in my life where I'm like, I don't want to talk to ethnic minorities because I can't be real around them. I can't be myself because and even though a lot of them aren't like this, I understand that. There are a lot as well that will just jump on you, and it makes like the conversation stressful.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just something you want to avoid. It's not like you're being prejudiced, but rather like you realize the reality that's happening with the whole stigma around white people having to walk around on eggshells. So you're not necessarily being prejudiced, but rather like you just don't want to deal with that. You've dealt with that before. You're just trying to avoid that.
The outcome, the social outcome of that is not good. Like that's what they need to understand. These leftists, like all this is doing is causing more division and more isolation, and it's not integrating at all. If people are kind of removing themselves from these interactions, how is that a good thing?
Right.
And it's a racist double standard. Like, if a white person says this, they'll get cancelled. If a black person, KSI, again, I'm not saying for anybody to cancel them, but I'm just using this as an example. KSI, you guys know KSI?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, he's a black YouTuber, but
I just want to interrupt for 1 second. We have to everyone make one last statement, and then we'll close because I'm on 3% battery.
Oh yeah. Go on.
Okay, so finish your point. MC.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, just as an example, I'm not saying this to pander. Like I said, I'm objective. I just say what it is in it. So there was a time where KSI, back in his days, like years ago, almost a decade ago, he would make quote unquote like RAPE jokes in his gaming videos, but he wouldn't be cancelled. But yet someone like Dunya, who didn't say anything racist at all, she just mentioned something that it was racial, she's getting cancelled and is literally losing subscribers. So I think that's incredible. Like, this guy made RAPE jokes, like did RAPE faces and stuff like that, but he's still like one of the biggest YouTubers in the world. Like, he didn't get cancelled, period. But Dunya, for saying that this person's a hypocrite for calling me for saying I have a big nose, but they come from a group of people who have big noses, she's getting cancelled.
The justification that they tend to use for that. Justification they tend to use. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So the justification that people tend to use for that is called punching up, which I think is ridiculous because what punching up kind of implies is that white people are so above these other minorities that nothing they say can offend us, but we have the power over them, which is ridiculous because offense is completely subjective. You can call someone, you can call a white person the C word and they'll kill themselves. You can call a black person the N word and they'll laugh it off and make fun of you. So to act like black people or ethnic minorities are these fragile little monoliths is kind of racist in and of itself.
Yeah, by definition. No, you're right. You're right, period. But yeah, I feel sorry. It is what it is, and she's losing subscribers. Like, she was on 308K subscribers. Now she's on 303. So yeah,
I have a question for her.
Go for it.
So, does your white side of your mother's family accept you?
Yeah, my grandma is white, and I mean, I've pretty much never felt any kind of feeling of being other or the differential stuff was really inconsequential throughout my life. The only people that made me constantly aware that you're different from us, you're biracial and everything, and you're not really black because sit with us on our side of the aisle was black people. But I've never had, not from my family, not from other white people that I interact with and everything. All of my interactions between white people have been generally positive throughout my life.
Wait, so wait, they accepted you as white, or did they accept?
No, not as white.
I mean, accepting her as a part of their family.
Oh,
right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
And then one question.
So, do you guys want to wrap up the conversation? Any closing statements? We'll go one by one. If you have anything else to say, do you want to go
I'm
first,
just.
MC?
Okay. So in short, black people, mixed race people are not black. That's nothing against mixed race people. Just making a distinction. Black people have dark skin, dark brown eyes, broad nose and nostrils, full lips, and African textured hair. Anything less is not black. Stop using racism or experiencing negativity as an excuse to call mixed race people black, because that is racist and offensive to the black race. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Right. Oh yeah, and last thing, and then I'm done. Just be aware there are some YouTubers that are spreading lies about me, about how I said you have to be literally 100% black in order. Basically, they're saying that I said that African Americans are not black, and I've never in my entire life stated that. I've never said I see them as black people. It's just the mixed race people that are not black. So just be aware of that. That's a lie. It's a disgusting lie. I've never said African Americans are not black. They are black people. It's just that they're offended. Yeah. Just be aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be people that will misconstrue what you say, but I think that you articulated your thoughts very well here, and like it speaks for itself.
Thank you.
So, Colored Girl, any last words?
Same thing he said. Mixed race people aren't black. The real definition of black is African textured hair, broad nose, dark skin, dark eyes, big lips. And if you are going to date out of your race, make sure to include the raising of your child as biracial. Do not make them identify as black, and then they're going to continue the stereotype of perpetuating, let's say, the Miss USA. All two of them were biracial, and you're taking over black first, but you're really biracial. Mm-hmm. It's not fair to actually.
I think on top of that, it's like when you have the beauty standard as like the black beauty standard seems to be like mixed race identity. This would make black women who are like full black feel ugly because they obviously don't have that phenotypical expression because they're not mixed race. So to act like the beauty standard of black women is mixed race that's like an unachievable kind of hurdle that it pigeonholes black women into being ugly if they don't look mixed race.
And it will make them lighten their skin.
I agree.
Exactly. And I guess in my closing statement, I mean, I agree, obviously. Mixed race people are not black. We're our own racial category, and we're socialized differently. And we have very unique, different experiences from other monoracial people as a whole. So not just black people, but monoracial people in general, because we're not monoracial. So, that's
and there's no such thing as light-skinned black people. Okay, I'm done.
Right.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate all of you for joining. Hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Definitely.
I'll put all your links in the bio. Do you have any social media, Colored Girl?
Sorry.
I mean, like, I could share my YouTube channel if that's okay. Like, I don't really use
you can shout
Instagram
it out now
much.
as well, but I'll also just post it in a comment or something.
Okay, so my YouTube channel is just MC Cham. Like, it's just MC space Cham, CHAM. That's my YouTube channel.
And on Instagram, you just want to go by biracial Shekinah?
I mean, okay, my Instagram is just at MC 2_ Cham.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
And you can just follow me on Instagram at _biracial. All of my campaign stuff will be shared there too if people are interested in that. But my main
I want to have a conversation with you another time about that because
definitely.
For sure. And Colored Girl, do you want to shout out anything or are you good?
I don't really have a YouTube channel. I'm thinking about starting one along the same lines as this kind of thing, but that's in the works.
Okay, cool. Well, once you get it up, maybe comment on this video and then I'll post your channel in there.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sweet. Well, thank you everyone, and I'll bid you good night.
Thank you so much, man. Take care, man.
All right, peace. Out.
Peace.